Hello again. Before we go on, there's just time to mention that our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Fernand Bouillon and Harry Breur. It's performed by Jean-Jacques Perret, who has kindly given his permission for us to use it. And now here's Elizabeth with some sport.
This is athletics. It's really rather remarkable, I think. It's about Arthur Thompson, and he showed he remains a major international force by clinching 2 victories at the World Masters Championships in Budapest. Enfield and Haringey Athletics Club Thompson, who is 76, won the M75 3K walking race in 17.9 minutes, and followed that up with a first-place finish in the 10K event after clocking 60.32. At the other end of the age spectrum, 17-year-old Callum Wilkinson added to his growing reputation by securing first place in the under-20s 10K event at the UKA National Race Walking Championships in Sheffield. I think 76 is pretty good.
High jumper Chris Candu has been selected as one of 5 British Olympic hopefuls to receive the Jean Pickering Olympic Scholarship. The scholarship will see a grant of £62,500 split between the Enfield Grammar School pupil and the other 4 athletes selected in the run-up to the 2016 Olympics in Rio. Further advice and guidance will also be available to Candu from the Ron Pickering Memorial Fund, which was set up by Jean in 1991 following the death of her husband, a former athletics coach and commentator. These new scholarships aim to build on the success of the Great 12 Olympic Fund, which provided support to 21 athletes ahead of the London 2012 Olympics, 9 of whom represented Team GB at the Games, with the high jumper Robbie Grabaz winning a medal.
And now for some boxing news. Frank Buglioni believes Sergei Kamitsky will be the toughest opponent he has faced in his professional career as the Enfield fighter defends his WBO European Super Middleweight title at the Copper Box Arena on Saturday the 12th. The Belarusian hitman, who had been stopped only twice, ended Jamie Moore's career and extended both Martin Murray and the now-retired Ryan Rhodes. Buglioni has won all 12 of his fights since turning professional, with 9 stoppages, but he is aware of the threat Kamitsky will pose to that record. He is a massive step up for me, and it will be my toughest fight as a pro without a doubt, the 24-year-old said. Kamitsky has tended to be beaten by the best.
Corey Whiteley scored twice as Enfield Town gave a further boost to their hopes of avoiding relegation from the Ryman Premier Division by easing to an emphatic 4-1 victory at basement side Culshulton Athletic on Saturday the 5th of April, which condemned their hosts to the drop. Playing less than 48 hours after their fine 2-1 victory over high-flying Bognor Regis Town, the visitors shrugged off the early loss of striker Jamie Richards to a hamstring injury to take the lead through Whiteley on 20 minutes. Jason Henry grabbed an equaliser, but Town restored their advantage through Whiteley's second on the stroke of the interval. Bradley Quinton extended the lead 7 minutes into the second half before Joe Stevens set the seal on an emphatic triumph by rounding off the scoring late on.
Meanwhile, Enfield Town boss George Borg says keeping the Towners in the Ryman Premier will be his greatest achievement as a manager. During his management career, Borg claimed an Isthmian First Division League title with Aldershot Town and helped the club reach the FA Cup first round twice. He tasted further success at Braintree Town, where he helped the club win the Ryman Premier before leading them to the Conference South playoff final the following season. However, he believes keeping Enfield up would surpass all these accomplishments.
Chris Ashton scored 2 tries as Saracens booked their spot in the semi-finals of the Heineken Cup for a second successive season with a narrow 17-15 victory at 14-man Ulster on Saturday the 5th of April. The match got off to a dramatic start as Ulster had Jared Payne sent off after less than 5 minutes for recklessly taking out Alex Good, who was knocked unconscious in the incident, in the air. But the hosts responded well to their numerical disadvantage and actually led 9-5 at the interval. However, Sarri's ultimately proved just too strong, with Ashton's brace, which saw him equal the single-season try-scoring record in the competition, and a Moritz Botha score helping them make up for a strangely below-par goal-kicking performance from Owen Farrell, and seal a showdown against Clermont Auvergne in the semi-finals at Twickenham on April 26. Saracens host Northampton in the Premiership on Sunday the 13th.
Thanks, Katherine. That was the Rugby Union, and now back to John with the news.
Last year, Shen Ali was set to run the London Marathon, but she had to scrap her plans due to a serious illness in the family. Her grandmother, who was suffering from a lung fibrosis, died on April the 13th, and Shen, aged 36, admitted feeling very down. "I was sitting around the house and there was a lot of crying," remembers Shen of Carterhatch Lane, Enfield, who has been training with Linda Priddle. I know a lot of people talk about their grandmother, but she meant so much to me, she brought me up. One of her neighbours, Vin, a marathon runner of many years, encouraged her to start running to distract her from her loss. She began training again and secured a place in this year's marathon, something she says has helped with the grieving process. Now, exactly a year on since the death of her grandmother, Shengul Rassi, Shen will line up with the goal of completing the marathon in her memory. "The closer it is getting, the more nervous I am feeling," she told the Advertiser. "I've woken up at 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. crying. It is now really real for me." The fact that this year's marathon takes place on the first anniversary of her grandmother's death is not the only coincidence. When her running number came through, it read the day and year her grandmother was born. "When that happened, it was a shock. It made it even more emotional for me," she added. Shen will be running for Cystic Fibrosis UK. The disease affects the lungs of young children. Seeing my Nan and the way that she suffered, I thought, what can I do to make a change, adds Shen. If I can give some children a better start in life, then it will be well worth it. I don't really have a time that I am aiming for. Everyone is different. I just hope I can finish. To support Shen's marathon challenge, visit www.justgiving.com/Shen-Ali.
Health watchdogs have called on a commissioning body to investigate the increase in deaths recorded as palliative at North Middlesex University Hospital. Health Watch Haringey and Health Watch Enfield have come together to ask the Care Quality Commission, CQC, to investigate the way in which the hospital in Stirling Way, Edmonton, calculates the standards of care it offers to patients. The request has come in the light of numbers showing a dramatic increase in patient deaths coded as palliative, meaning that death was expected because the patient was terminally ill. In 2008, the percentage of deaths coded palliative was 4.76%, but figures in 2012 show 31.48%, a jump of 26% in 4 years, and the fifth biggest increase of all NHS hospitals in the country. Health Watch Haringey chairman Sharon Grant said, "It's important that people have accurate information about the standards of care, and death rates at a hospital can be an important indicator of quality, along with other measures commonly used." A North Middlesex University Hospital spokesman said, "We're disappointed that Health Watch did not discuss their concerns with us. Had they done so, we would have reassured them that there is an issue about the way some mortality figures are measured, rather than an issue with our quality of care and safety. The way we measure palliative care is in line with national standards and is independently audited every year. There's never been any suggestion that we provide inappropriate care or that our data is not robust." He added, "One measure of hospital mortality rates, the HSMR, includes palliative care, which it is agreed can skew the results. However, we perform very strongly against the now more widely used Summary Hospital Level Mortality Indicator, SHMI, which does not include palliative care and which is produced by the Health and Social Care Information Centre. We're one of the best performers with regards to SHMI in the country, among only 12 trusts with lower than expected mortality rates. We're also one of the best performers against a broad range of other quality measures. We have already offered to meet Health Watch and discuss this issue with them. We hope the Care Quality Commission will also be able to explain it to them.
This is a letter from Mike Lemon, who is searching for relatives of Major Thomas Sutton Lemon. He writes, I'm looking for relatives of Major Thomas Sutton Lemon. After his death in 1963, age 50, his family returned to Staffordshire. My Uncle Tom married Esther Mary Lewis in Bilston, Staffordshire in 1956, and they had 3 children together in Bury St Edmunds. I believe their names are David, Mary G and Richard. They were very young when their father died, and it's possible that they then returned to Staffordshire, where their mother later died in 1992, aged 70. I've recently discovered that Mary G. Lemon married E.W. King in Staffordshire, and in 1994, and then moved to Enfield, where I believe they now reside. I've enclosed the only picture I have of my Uncle Tom, and it shows him as a lieutenant in the Buffs Regiment in approximately 1941. He later went on to become a major of the Royal Artillery, at which time he retired, married Esther, moved to the White House, Chevington, a village outside the outskirts of Bury St Edmunds. Thomas had at least 3 brothers that I know of: my father, George, John, who was called Jack, and Albert. I would really appreciate any assistance that you may afford, so perhaps somebody listening might be able to help out Mike Lemon.
Omid Jalili answers James Rampton's questions about getting older, being a celebrity, and being less political in his act, prior to his gig at the Millfield Arts Centre. Is stand-up your first love? To which he answers, I've done so many different things, but stand-up, when it goes well, and it often doesn't, is definitely what I love the most. There's something very satisfying about a really good gig. I'm not often happy with my work as an actor. I'm always upset when I see myself acting on screen, mostly because of the way I look. But as a stand-up, it's always a bonus if you look heavy or damaged. In my case, it helps, in fact. Do you feel very much at home in the stand-up arena? When I was making Moonfleet last summer, Ray Winstone told me, I don't feel I come alive on set until I've done a fight scene and thrown my first right hook. Similarly, I don't really feel alive unless I'm making people laugh. It's probably an illness, a comedian's illness. Live performance is a two-way thing, audience and performer egging each other on. If a joke misses or backfires, I know there's about 150 more on their way, so I don't panic like I used to. What themes will you be addressing in the new show? Growing older. We all struggle with it. As Dave Allen once said, I enjoy growing older. I have to, because there's no choice. When you hit your 40s, you understand life better, but at the same time, your body is more prone to fail, so you have to find a way of joining your newfound wisdom with physical prowess. What else will you be discussing? I'll be talking about relationships, because I think I've come to understand the secret to them now. I know that from the moment a woman marries a man, she has to learn to forgive him. And that's because men are idiots. Before they become conscious human beings, that is. They can take years doing the wrong thing before they learn to adjust their behaviour. So women need patience and forgiveness, otherwise it's over. Omid Jalili is at Millfield Arts Centre, Silver Street, Edmonton, Friday, April the 25th and Saturday, April the 26th at 7:30 p.m. Details can be found at 0208 807 6680 and also at the millfieldtheatre.co.uk website.
A young football fanatic was given the shock of his life when a mascot popped into his school. Oliver Borowski, 9, was expecting a regular assembly at Raglan School in Wellington Road, Enfield, on Friday, but all of a sudden, a giant green dinosaur, known as Gunnosaurus, the Arsenal FC mascot, trundled into the room to the delight of pupils. The mascot revealed that it was Oliver, who had been chosen from 30,000 young Arsenal fan club members, known as junior gunners, to walk out with the side in their FA Cup semi-final against Wigan Athletic at Wembley on Saturday, the 12th of April. A junior gunner since he was just 2 years old, Oliver was ecstatic to hear the news that he would be walking onto the pitch at the home of football with his favourite players. Father and football-mad Rob and mother Charlotte, who is a Spurs fan, were told a week earlier and admitted they found it hard to keep it a secret. They said, "We found it hard not to tell him, as we knew that he would be so excited. We weren't sure how he would react, but we all can't wait to go." Oliver, whose favourite player is club captain Thomas Vermaelen, is relishing the chance to stand side by side with his idols. He said, "I really can't wait until the big day. I'm nervous, but excited at the same time. I've never been to Wembley, but I'm hoping Arsenal will win." The game might start at 5:07 p.m, but Oliver's day starts a lot earlier, as he will get the chance to tour Wembley before meeting the players and walking out with the captain. Gunnosaurus entertained pupils at the school, and some teachers could not resist a photo and a hug with the lovable figure.
2 Enfield primary schools performed their very own opera at one of the grandest stages of them all. Carterhatch Junior School in Carterhatch Lane and St Edmund's Catholic Primary School in Hertford Road, Edmonton, took part in the Opera Quest, which gave school children the chance to perform at the Royal Opera House in Covent Garden. Over the past few months, school children have taken part in several workshops to create their own opera from the themes of Puccini's La Bohème. The schools were joined by lyric soprano Danielle Denise as they took part in the event organised by the Prince of Wales charity, the Prince's Foundation for Children and the Arts. The schools then performed their alternative plays in front of parents, staff and other London schools also taking part in the event. Jeremy Newton, Chief Executive of the Prince's Foundation for Children and the Arts, was delighted with the results. He said, "Children benefit massively from the arts. The arts stimulate imagination and encourage self-expression and creativity."
Former workers at a car parks factory who were left in limbo when their bosses went bust at the height of the recession have been offered a new compensation deal. Workers at the Vistian plant in Mawson Road, Ponders End, saw their pension pot shrink suddenly when the company went into administration 5 years ago. Although workers in Enfield improved their redundancy deals after occupying the Ponders End plant in protest at their treatment, some saw the value of their pension slashed by as much as 40%. It's taken 4 years of campaigning by the Vistian Pension Action Group to secure an offer of compensation for the lost money. However, the settlement offer will only cover the full worth of pension pots built up before 2000, when the car parts plant was owned by the Ford Motor Company. Vistian is an injection moulding firm, and it was owned by Ford until 2000, before being spun off as an independent company that could win work from the car makers' competitors. The agreement to honour pre-2000 pension values comes after 4 years of Ford insisting that all pension pots were the responsibility of the liquidated Vistian company. The settlement will also cover legal fees incurred by the campaign group in its fight to recover the full value of the pensions. Nick Dubois, MP for Enfield North, backed the workers in the House of Commons after meeting representatives from the Pensioners' Action Group in one of his first surgeries after being elected in 2010. "I'm delighted to hear that Ford are living up to their responsibilities and doing the right thing," he said. "This is fantastic news for VPAG, and I would like to congratulate them for their hard-fought campaign. Their dogged determination has resulted in a well-earned victory, and I know that the people they represent will be forever grateful for their efforts."
Almost 1,000 eggs will be hidden around Enfield Parkland as part of an Easter egg hunt in aid of a children's hospice. Hundreds of people have donated eggs for the hunt at Capel Manor in Ballsmore Lane, Balls Cross, in aid of Noah's Ark Hospice in Barnet. Organised by community group Love Your Doorstep, local business owners have themselves competed to donate the most eggs, resulting in a surge of donations. Love Your Doorstep founder Emma Rigby said, "This is the third year we have organised this event, and it has just exploded. Businesses have been super competitive, and that has been great for the cause." The group will meet at local boutique Wild Daisy in Bush Hill Park with all the donated eggs before taking them to Capel Manor. The hunt will take place on Friday and Saturday.
Police are appealing for the return of a large quantity of clothes taken from a lorry earlier this month. A lorry parked on the Hazelmere Industrial Estate in Lincoln Way, Enfield, was broken into in the early hours of Friday, March the 7th. The items stolen included Rima Suomo-branded Italian trousers and Maxella-branded dresses. The driver of the lorry was asleep, but was awoken by noises coming from the back of the lorry. 6 people dressed in dark clothing were seen briefly before making off in a white truck with a blue curtained side. Anyone with information about the incident or whereabouts of the clothing is asked to contact PC Mark Townsend, Enfield Police, on the police non-emergency number 101. To remain anonymous, call Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111.
Enfield Borough Council has joined forces with NHS Blood and Transplant in a bid to get more people to sign up to the organ donor register. The 3-year deal, agreed at the Civic Centre in Silver Street, will target the Black and Asian community in particular to sign up to the register. Trevor Hurt, who lost his daughter Roz in 2012, described his pride when he discovered she had elected to help other people after her death. He said on June the 18th, 2012, she collapsed outside a supermarket on the A10. All medical staff performed heroics and were able to restart her heart after 1.5 hours. But unfortunately, she eventually suffered a massive bleed to the brain. All the family and friends were blown away by what happened. We discovered she signed up for the organ register when she was 18. My daughter was a highly logical person who would have seen no point in being cremated intact. She was able to donate body parts to allow people to live rather than just exist. Simon Cooper from Enfield had a lung transplant and spoke about how the operation has changed his life. He said, "The liver transplant I had in 1999 has enabled me to live a normal life as a musician. I then became diabetic, but that wasn't going to stop me performing as a drummer. I now regularly drum with one of my favourite bands, Chaz and Dave. As a drummer, you have to keep fit, and in 2009, my lungs were in a bad state and I was rushed into hospital. At that point, I was using oxygen 24/7 to breathe, which was an issue with my drumming. In April 2012, I organised a charity gig, but at that point, my lung capacity was 16%. August 17, 2012, I was told the news that the hospital might have some new lungs. Without the transplant, I would not be able to live my life." Mr. Cooper revealed that he had 17 hours of surgery to replace his lungs and is now able to work regularly. Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Community Wellbeing and Public Health, Councillor Christine Hamilton, said, "We have a wonderfully diverse population and we're in urgent need of Black and Asian blood and organ donors. This is a fantastic project which will help save the lives of people across the borough."
A woman in her 70s had to wait more than 2 hours for an ambulance following a car crash in Enfield. The collision happened at the Hertford Road and Ordnance Road junction in Enfield Wash at around 1:45 p.m. last Tuesday. The ambulance didn't arrive at the incident until 4:15 p.m. when it took her to Barnet General Hospital in Wellhouse Lane. Firefighters removed the person from their car following the collision, but the pensioner had to wait to be taken to hospital.
Well, we've reached the end of our programme for this week. Don't forget your reader's representative, Diane de Jersey, is on 020-8805-6578 if you need any help with the talking newspaper. And please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the cassette into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible so we can send out the next edition. And that will be with you after Easter in 2 weeks' time. Thanks for being with us. From me, Elizabeth, Katherine, John and Dave, Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.